Hello again. This is where we begin as the Ayawaso East by-election appears to be shaping up, with parties stepping up preparations and campaign activities ahead of the March 3rd election. Well, the Electoral Commission earlier today held an inter-party advisory committee meeting with political parties ahead of the by-election. Political parties were asked to limit their representation to 2 delegates each. James Aveji just returned from the EC headquarters and is joining me in the studio with more. James, who were there? We understand the chairperson, Jim Mensah, was absent. Who was in her stead?
Exactly. So her 2 deputies, the first deputy, which is Samuel Tete, as well as Dr. Bosman Asari, the 2 of them chaired the meeting in her absence, and the political parties also had representations fully represented. For instance, the NDC had the 2 directors of elections, the main director, which is Mr. Jibril Mahdi, and then the NPP, together with his deputy, Tanko Computer Rashid, were all present. The NPP also had the director of elections, Evans Nimako, as well as his deputy. The other, what we call quote-unquote smaller parties, were also present in this meeting. The GCPP, for instance, had its General Secretary, Citizen Atudadzi. Those who were not absent, in fact, when I called the PNP, the People's National Party, they said they are not part of the election, and so they didn't attend this particular meeting. And so those were the people who were present in this meeting, together with the 2 deputy chairs of the Electoral Commission, to deliberate on this particular roadmap.
Let's talk about the roadmap. What did they agree on?
So I'm sure the party reps will come and give us the full details, but in this kind of elections, a number of activities happen between now and March 3rd, when the voting exercise will happen. For instance, there would be balloting for candidates. To get the arrangement on that, there will be the opening of the notice of poll in the constituency as well. But most importantly will be the printing of ballot papers, which must be supervised by the political parties together with the EC. And when this happens, all the parties interested in election would have to get their representatives at the printing center of this ballot papers. And so usually the EC will agree with the political parties who and who or how many persons can be delegated to monitor these activities. What dates should these things happen, as I have spoken about? And so the EC cannot stand up and do this by themselves, and so they needed to agree on specific dates which will form part of the schedules for the elections. And so this was the core subject of this particular meeting, we are told. Now, they have agreed on certain things. For instance, party representations at these meetings. On the day of the election, we know that party agents or candidate agents also represent in this election.
Yes.
How should they be identified at the voting centers? Initially, when we receive the press tag, we just get press tag, and then you have the party agent tag. What we understand is that there is the push from the political parties for some amendment to that party agent tag, where the EC should include the name of the personnel who will be at the voting center. For instance, if it is Kenneth Jesse representing party A, candidate A, it should be Kenneth party agent, and then Kenneth Jesse should be under it. And so some of those push have been made at this particular meeting for the EC. But the exact details as to which activity will come first, followed by which one, and what specific dates that would happen, I'm sure the parties would come and tell us more about that. But these were the dynamics that they looked at in the almost 2 hours. The meeting actually started at exactly 11 a.m. It dragged all the way after 12:30 to about 1 o'clock before it concluded, together with the external stakeholders of the election. For instance, we know that specific embassies or international organizations fund some of our elections. And so this meeting also happened with some of these people. at the meeting. Again, what we understand is that some decisions will be taken, as far as this is concerned, taking in mind security issues. And so the Ghana Police Service was also at this meeting, represented by one of the top officials, not the IGP or the various COPs, but it also had a representation at this meeting. And so security matters were also discussed. We understand that issues around even the 2024 elections also came up. When elections are done, the parties need to come together at an IPAC meeting to review the election, know what went well, what didn't go well, and then everybody would find a way forward on how to address some of these things. We understand that some of these issues also came up aside the Ayawaso East election conversation.
And I'm hearing about, for example, GCPP for the first time in a very long time. And you did indicate that PNC were not there because they say they don't have a rep.
The PNP.
PNP were not there because they say they don't have a rep representing them in the Ayawaso East by-elections. I want to find out what the position were from the smaller parties.
Well, so what we know for now is that by close of day, at least 4 candidates should file for this election. The NDC, the NPP. We are also hearing that the LPG, Kofi Akpalus party, is also fielding a candidate in this election. And there's also an independent candidate in the election as well. So 4 candidates should file. If you take the NDC, NPP out, we have one quote-unquote smaller party, which is the LPG, going into the election aside the independent candidate. Now, the GCPP believes that this is an election that is done and dusted for the ruling party, the NDC. And so, as far as they are concerned, they are not going to be part of the election, but because they are stakeholders of subsequent elections, and even their members will be voting in this particular election, they will be monitoring the process closely. But the call their General Secretary, Citizen Atu Dadzi, is giving out to the other smaller political party is that if any of them decide to go into this election, they are eventually going to waste their money on the process. And so they are calling on all of them to step aside and leave this election for the NDC.
Exactly the EC is about with this?
Oh yeah, it's about Ayawaso East By-election. That is the only item on the agenda and any other business. So I'm sure it's going to spell out the modalities. Today is also the close of nomination for the Ayawaso by-election. I don't know whether there will be any discussions on extension or any other thing, but the main focus is on the Ayawaso by-election.
But yourself, are you in the election?
No.
Your party is not in the election?
We have decided not to file a candidacy.
Why?
We've looked at our chances in Ayawaso East. We think it would be a waste of resources to contest the by-election at this point. Looking at the circumstances in the constituency. In fact, I would actually urge other political parties, at least not too far. You know, by-elections is becoming increasingly expensive for the country. If you look at Akwatia by-election.
If you say other political parties, all others except the NDC, you want it to be an only NDC thing?
Because as we speak, if you look at the dynamics of Ayawaso East, I mean, there is no likelihood. I mean, unless there was a case of an independent candidate from the same camp going into the election, that would change the dynamics. As we speak, I don't see that happening. Okay. So for me, that's what I think. But then I'm not going to stop any political party who feels that they can make significant inroads in Ayawaso East contest.
Okay, but it has nothing to do with the allegations of vote buy-in and all of that characterize the NDC's primaries?
Not at all. I think that is even now going to ginger a lot of people in the constituency to come out to vote. If you look at all the dynamics now, it looks like Baba Jamal's name has come up strongly again. I mean, he's a very known figure in Ghanaian politics. His name died out a little bit. All of a sudden, through whatever means, now everybody is talking about Jamal. It has increased his popularity going into this election, and I think it even makes him a more formidable candidate in this election. But my call is not based on that. My call is based on cost and the fact that we need to look at by-elections in general. I think over the years, anytime there was a by-election, we look at should we have a different way of approaching by-elections instead of every day spending so much money and resources going to a by-election? So I am making that call based on that. We saw in Tamale, is it Tamale Central, where no other political party contested, and I think it saved the people of Ghana a lot of money. So that's why I'm making this call.
Thank you.
James, that is the General Secretary of the GCPP, and this was before they entered the building.
Exactly.
Describe the mood of the various individuals who exited the building.
Ken, they all appeared to, sometimes some of these meetings come with all of the tension, where the NDC, NPP will usually have different stance on particular matters, and then you see the other parties rallying their support behind one of them. And sometimes when they come out, it shows clearly, in fact, some of them will call the major political parties out and disagree with them on certain things. But for today, everybody who came out of that building seemed to agree on a particular consensus as far as the roadmap to the election was concerned. They were all jovial, typical of Tanko Computer and Evans Nimako, as well as the other reps. They're all happy looking when they came out of this. And so I just want to believe that we will not have the incident where usually after these meetings, a certain political party will issue a statement calling out the EC or the other political party for disagreeing with certain things and accusing them of being in bed with the other. And so from what I've seen today, it looks like everybody is on the same page.
James Aveji, thank you very much. He's a man on the ground at the Electoral Commission headquarters for the IPAC meeting that ended about an hour ago. Let's broaden this conversation. And joining me now is Evans Nimako. He's the NPP's Director of Research and Elections. We also have Rashid Tanko Computer, who's the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the governing NDC. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Evans, I'll begin with you. The Ayawaso East By-election is shaping up and preparations are intensifying. How ready is your party for March 3rd?
Kenneth, thank you for having me. Good afternoon to your listeners. For us as New Patriotic Party, we are ready. Today, at the regional office, we filed documentation of our candidate, Baba Ali Yusuf. That tells you that the New Patriotic Party is ready for victory come March 3, 2026. We are ready, and we are going to pull a lot of surprise. Our candidate is a known native of Ayawaso East. He is liked by the people and has the support across the constituency. If you go everywhere in the 113 polling stations, you will hear of Baba Ali Yusuf. So the New Patriotic Party is happy about this, and we know that by the close of the exercise, our candidate will be heading to Parliament to represent the good people of Ayawaso East.
Let me bring in Rashid Tanko Computer in at this point. Rashid, your party has had dramatic turn of events in the last 72 hours since you concluded the primaries to elect your candidate to represent your party in the upcoming by-election. How prepared is your party for March 3rd as well?
Very well. My brother, let me say good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers, as well as my good brother, Evans Nimako. They know that this is not an election for them to have participated at all. I don't know why they are going ahead to file their candidate for the election, because this election is virtually not for them. It's an election that NDC is just going in to increase its margins, not about winning. Winning is not an issue. The issue on the table right now is for NDC to increase its margin of victory. That is what we are going in. We are very much prepared. Today, we filed our candidate, Alhaji Jamal has filed, Baba Jamal, he has filed his papers with the Electoral Commission. Officially, he's a candidate. And I can assure you, we are going to increase our margin. And for winning is not an issue. We are going to beat it because the good works of the NDC is there for everybody to see. People are living testimonies. They themselves are living testimony. They go to the palms. They go to the market. And they are living testimonies to this. Indeed, just from a few days in Parliament, the former defense minister had to admit before cameras in the floor of the House that bag of rice, which used to cost 1,000 cedis, is now going for 400 Ghana cedis. I mean, he didn't do it under duress. He had to admit to the fact. So all these things, people are living testimonies to it. And I can assure you, this election that is going on, the best thing for NPP was to just chicken out. But now they want us to give them a heavy defeat. We are ready for them there.
Let's talk about the IPAC meeting that just concluded. You were there, so was Evans. What were the roadmaps that were agreed upon?
Well, I mean, as usual, it's the same procedure that we use. The procedure we use for Akotia is the same thing that we're going to use for Ayawaso East. Of course, we will have to send our agents to monitor the printing of the ballot papers. Now that they are done with the filing, which will end at 5 p.m. today, after that, there will be balloting, and then notice of poll will come out. Then the printing of the ballot papers will follow. This is just the procedure. Then the only thing that we spoke and then we all agree to is on the election day, we used to deploy only one party agent at a time for each polling station. But through the magnanimity of colleague members at IPAC, we all agree. In fact, this one was consensus. We all agree that, look, this time round, they should make it 2. So we are going to have 2 party agents at a time at each of the polling stations. I mean, that is one thing. We thank the Electoral Commission for accepting to allow us to deploy 2 party agents at a time for each of the polling station to monitor the elections as we progress on that day. And so these were the major things that we took on board.
Right. And Evans, I will begin from where Rashid Tanko Computer ended, speaking about 2 agents being deployed there. Is that going to be the norm going forward in any by-election, that there's going to be 2 agents going forward from each party, or it's just for this election? What was agreed there?
Well, I mean, information from the EC was that because you don't have too many candidates filing, if you have 2 people per candidate as agent, the place will not be crowded. I think that this is normal protocol, and for every election, you know, the EC will accredit 2 people, but say 1 person at a time. We are yet to see if in future EC will have a CI that will support this arrangement. But as was agreed by consensus, the party didn't have problem having 2 agents accredited. We are looking forward to see to it that the EC will conduct a fair, transparent election.
Right, listening to you.
You know, the New Patriotic Party, we always want to ensure that the street laws are employed, and that's what we are aiming for.
Right.
The issues Rashid Tanko is talking about, we are talking specifically of Ayawaso East constituency. Whatever the former Minister of Defense may have said, it's done before us. I didn't hear him speak to any of these issues he's mentioning. The people of Ayawaso East sees Ali Baba Yusuf as their own, and he's the one they are going to vote for. And I can assure you that the New Patriotic Party will come out victorious. Rashid can continue to brag, and at the end of 3rd of March, we'll see the results.
Right. It appears that both you and Rashid agreed to a lot of consensus in that room, but were there any issues that you objected to, Evans?
Well, I mean, there wasn't an issue of objection, but the New Patriotic Party raised issue that we've been done with the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. As convention, the EC must create a forum for review of the 2024 elections. And so when it was put on the table, the EC accepted that. The EC also informed parties that as part of its coalition arrangement, they are going to use a certain electronic means to transmit results from the polling station to the collation center. And this will go to collaborate with the manual transmission of the pin sheet. And this, we said that we will support the EC to table a CI that will give a legal backing to this arrangement where results will be transmitted electronically from polling stations to collation centers, because it will then take away this issue of some individuals who are lawless and will take the law into their hands and destroy EC materials. You saw in 2024 at Ablikuma North constituency, where NDC organized people to go and destroy electoral material and burn them as well. As we speak, nobody has been arrested. The EC in Ablikuma North had told Parliament that they were left with 3 polling stations to collate to declare results. They turn around to say we have to go and do by-elections in 19 voting centers. Ridiculous indeed. And so for New Patriotic Party, we will support an arrangement that will ensure the sanctity of the conduct of elections in this country. I mean, that's the only way to go. And so when the issue was brought up by New Patriotic Party, the EC said that they were going to ensure it happened. And so they are going to do a certain pilot from all the 113 polling stations. They said they are liaising with Statistical Service and get tablets from them to be able to take electronic copies of results. And then this will also collaborate the manual transmission of the results from polling stations to the collations. And I think it will be a nice pilot, and we are ready to support.
Right. Rashid, my colleague James Aveji, who was with you at the Electoral Commission headquarters, tells me that there was another proposal which seeks to, print the names of the agents who will be present on that day on their cards that they will have on them. And then the big question is, what if a card is printed for an agent with a name there and the agent on the D-Day fails to show up? What happens?
Well, that's why we were advocated for 2 agents at a time. So in an event, we had the difficulty. And then what the CI, if you look at CI 127, it makes room for replacement. I mean, you can quickly replace an agent who might not show up on the day. I mean, so that provision is there for replacement. Okay. But let's correct this. You see, why the EC going for tablets to come and do this? We raised an issue about it. It's the NPP, their behavior. You remember what happened to Ablikuma North when they manufactured their own print sheet and said they were scanned copies and wanted to use that one to deceive the EC to declare the election for them. That's what they were trying to do. But we stood our grounds and said that could not happen, because we know who NPP they are. They are masters of this kind of manufacturing their own figures and documents to come and convince the Electoral Commission. And so, well, the EC is trying to do a pilot. They themselves agree it's not backed by any law, what they are doing. That is just their internal administrative thing that they are trying to do. It's not backed by any law. Nobody's going to rely on that system that they are doing just to help them their own administrative. Because when we go to the collation center, we know how we do our collation. We won't rely on the depiction and carbon copies that they bring there to collate the results. Okay. And to save as well over the period. And so that one there, yes, let's see what they will do about it. They tried it at Akotia. Yes, we didn't have any issues with them because it didn't impact anything on the elections. And the same thing. So if they are bringing that, we know that, our opponents, they will always find faults where there's none. But I can assure you, we are ready to go. We are ready. We are returning the seat with a very huge margin. That's what we are trying to do.
Right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Rashid Tanko Computer is the Deputy Director of IT and Elections with the governing NDC. We also heard from Evans Nimako, who is the Director of IT and elections with the opposition NPP. Let's just stay with the NDC because the party is facing criticism over its decision to clear Baba Jamal to contest the Ayawaso East by-election despite allegations of vote inducement during the party's recent parliamentary primary, with some describing the decision as endorsing an illegality. Baba Jamal, who was serving as Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, was recalled by President Mahama after he admitted on camera to distributing items, including television sets, to party delegates during last Saturday's primary. Well, following a review of a report by a three-member committee, the NDC's Functional Executive Committee has now approved him as the party's candidate for the March 3rd by-election. Michelle Latte has more in this report.
The February 7 NDC primary saw Baba Jamal Mohammed Ahmed declared winner ahead of the March 3 by-election following the death of the sitting MP. The process was, however, marred by allegations of vote buying, triggering public outrage and calls from some NDC MPs for the election to be annulled. Baba Jamal was later recalled from his post as Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria. The party subsequently set up a three-member committee led by Kofi Totobi-Kwache. After 2 days of investigations, the committee submitted its report. Committee member Inusa Husseini says all candidates who contested the primary were interrogated.
It's a committee of FEC, and so we've submitted a report.
With the investigation concluded, the party then had to make a decision. After hours of deliberations, General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Fiafikwete, revealed that all candidates admitted to giving items to delegates, describing them as motivation.
The long and short of the report was this, that inappropriate conduct was exhibited by virtually almost all the candidates. Even though you cannot establish, because the candidates were clear that what they did was in light of motivating of delegates. We believe that was inappropriate.
Despite the admissions, the party said it could not annul the results of the primary, contrary to the calls from some MPs in Parliament. The Functional Executive Committee therefore endorsed Baba Jamal as the party's candidate. Fifi Kwete explained the decision was influenced by the February 11 deadline for the submission of nominations.
Ideally, we should have an annulment of the primaries. However, the committee also acknowledged that there are real obstacles that make it difficult for us to do that. One, the party's constitution does not have a provision for an annulment of election. Two, we are time-bound because we need to be presenting a candidate by tomorrow to the Electoral Commission. So given these difficulties, and also there are legal challenges that could be mounted by whoever won, we have no option but to present Baba Jamal, who actually won according to the Electoral Commission declaration.
The party has, however, indicated that President John Dramani Mahama is expected to take appropriate action against any government appointees found culpable. It also announced plans to expand the investigative committee from 3 to 7 members to develop broader recommendations to address vote buying within the party.
So we are expanding the committee that was appointed. We are adding 4 more members to that committee to make a 7-member committee. And that 7-member committee will extensively come up with recommendations as to how we can once and for all deal with this, should I call it, canker, which has to do with anything that amounts to inappropriate conduct as far as elections are concerned.
The NDC says it remains confident of retaining the Ayawaso East seat in the March 3 by-election against the NPP candidate Baba Ali Yusuf. For JoyNews, Michelle Latte.
We've also been hearing from governance expert Professor Bafo Ajimanduya, who says the NDC missed the opportunity to set a good precedent for future elections. He spoke on JoyNews desk.
Is the courage with which the NDC quickly condemned that action, even threatening to seek the annulment of the election. And of course, the president did the right by getting this guy out of office as a commission, House Commission in Nigeria. But I think what has happened now, the fact that the NDC somehow has reneged on that initial strong reaction to the NDC. As you know, their reports seem to have stated that for 1 or 2 or 3 reasons, it's not possible to proceed with it. Therefore, they will let Peking dogs lie. That's where we are now. But I personally admire the courage with which they came out, because that indicates to me that at least they are very much alert to a new reality they want to into, which is how to stem corruption in the electoral process. Now, going around against their own promises, as I say, they gave it. So let us see going forward what else.
But Prof, did they miss the opportunity to at least nip this in the bud, to set a certain precedent that this thing cannot continue? We should find a way to serve as a deterrent, to others. Did they miss that opportunity to do that?
Yes, they did. They did. And personally, I feel bad about that, because all of it, anti-corruption, everybody is trying to set up a new development. But we have to look at this particular case in its context. You see, the NDC reacted perhaps without taking cognizance of the peculiarity of this particular case. Here you are, you have fully 24 hours to act before the Commission make the final decision. Here you are constituted, your internal structures or laws do not seem to be clear on this action.
Well, a senior lecturer with the Political and History Department at KNUST, Professor Samuel Edujemfi, has also been expressing his view on the decision by the party.
My sister, it's a very difficult one, because if you look at what is happening today, you realize that the party has done its job. It has come out with its own findings. It shows clearly that the process that led to the outcome had a lot of challenges, necessitates annulment. Unfortunately, what we see is that the party cannot do that, because the Electoral Commission itself is not interested in ensuring that our political parties conduct themselves well. If the Electoral Commission was interested in that, it would have used this as a test case to allow a party which is in government, which is in power, to right its own wrongs, for it to serve as an example for their counterparts, the NPP and the other smaller parties. It seems to me what the Electoral Commission and the Commissioner is interested in, likely, is to see that they have that by-election. And once that is done, they will go back to relax or go back to sleep. And that is where I have a lot of worry. The fact is that the Electoral Commission should not only be interested on election day, counting of votes and declaring a winner, as it is known historically. It should be interested in the processes that lead to the D-Day of election and also the declaration of a winner. The processes require how individual contenders or contestants or competing parties conduct themselves. The processes that lead to giving birth to them as candidates are issues they ought to and must be interested in, i.e. questions about who finances them, how they have financed their campaign, and how, they came about that. I believe that all these things have the tendency or proclivity to shape how our political parties conduct themselves and also candidates also conduct themselves. Again, it is also critical to understand that the broader framing of the discussion on political party financing is critical. Years ago, a certain MP was found out or found culpable of dealing in cocaine. You remember the story. You realize that when political parties are financed by outsiders or businessmen or other actors, state or non-state actors, these people end up becoming puppet masters. You can imagine if a certain cabal, an oil cartel, or individuals whose sources of income or wealth is, very, very dangerous.
Let's get talking and bring in the NPP's Deputy General Secretary, Haruna Mohammed. Also joining the conversation is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande. Gentlemen, grateful for your time this afternoon. Haruna, I'll begin with you. What is the NPP's official position on the decision by the NDC to clear Baba Jamal for the upcoming primaries?
Thank you very much. I would like to say good afternoon to your cherished viewers and then my colleague Mustafa and other experts who have spoken on the matter. Like I said earlier, these people, they lack principle. And I told you that what they have done or what the letter that they have issued, they are not going to follow it. And it has come to reality. The party itself has become a clearing agent, knowing very well that their constitution does not give him the power to withdraw somebody's election or whatever. They went ahead to do what they did. And I told everybody, I told the world, that these people, they cannot do anything because what they have just done is to play on the emotions of the people of Ghana. They don't intend very well for us, and everybody is seeing it. What they did was the use. What is the use? What they did, their issue, what is the letter they sent is all useless. And we are back to number one, encouraging people to do vote buying. So for me, I never believe in them because I don't think that the NDC can take any decision. They cannot take any decision. So for us as MPP, we have said that this is a criminal matter. When it happens, we say the Ghana police should go on and do investigation. Yes, so if the Ghana police is supposed to do investigation and these people are not minded that investigation should be done on criminal matters on this, and they have to do their own investigations, which ought to come out as nothing, baseless, no effect, no any contribution, just to tell us that because proceed.
Right.
It's a useless adventure.
Right. Haruna, it's quite interesting that you describe this as a criminal decision, but the Office of the Special Prosecutor, remember, says that it's investigating this NDC issue and the NPP presidential primaries that happened about a fortnight ago, also with allegations of vote buying as well. But your party so far has not said that they are setting up any committee to look into that. Do I have Haruna on the line? Right, we'll try to reconnect with Haruna Mohammed, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the opposition NPP. But let me bring in Mustapha Gbande at this point. Mustapha, grateful for your time this afternoon. I must say, you're looking very good in your suit this afternoon. But I'm wondering why you didn't wear fugu today, since President Mahama has declared today as Fugu Day.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I've been wearing fugu. I'm a Northerner. I wear fugu every day. And unfortunately, the occasion for today compelled that I wear suit. That's why I'm in suit and not in fugu.
Right, that's just by the way.
Yeah.
Your party has faced fierce criticism from the NPP, political scientists, CSOs, that you failed to discipline Baba Jamal when everybody was expecting you to do so. Is the party proud of the decision it took yesterday?
Well, thank you very much. We take full responsibility of whatever the criticisms and observations are. There have never been a decision without divergent opinions, and we respect those opinions. But posterity will judge us for good, that the NDC have taken a strong standpoint to reform our party as against the issues of vote buying and inducements
at voting processes. It's the first time that such a bold decision is seeking to confront. And for the avoidance of doubt, let me reiterate that we have not only taken these remedial actions due to time constraints, but we have also expanded the committee to recommend to us policy guidelines and directions going into the future to ensure that as far as our party is concerned, we are never back on this table to discuss matters involving inducements and vote buying. At least what is inappropriate in terms of electioneering activities and processes will be a thing of the past as far as the NDC is concerned. So we are looking at either making this part of our laws or making this part of our election guidelines so that should we get to this bridge, it will not be an issue of setting up a committee. The party will be included with specific provisions and guidelines to follow as far as vote buying and complaints of inducements are concerned. And let me also state that the primary individual, Honorable Baba Jamal, in this situation was not the only one under investigation. All 5 aspirants in that election were under investigation. Indeed, they admitted to the committee that all of them have, distributed or items were distributed on their behalf to party members. As to whether it constitutes a crime, but we have noted that it constituted an inappropriate conduct. And if time was not or was on our side, the situation would have been different. But let me also say that Baba Jamal, again, is a notable politician throughout his life, serving as a minister, an MP. He is the deputy director of legal of our party, a former ambassador, reprimanded for that matter. If you check his track record, he's a man worth of his sort. He has high standing in our society, never been brushed with the law as far as serving the country is concerned. So you cannot use these very incidents as one of the reasons to throw him with the dirty waters. What the NDC have done is not to deny the people of Ayawaso of a credible member of parliament. Out of the 5, they have selected one person. The election that was organized by the Electoral Commission was not tainted. It was not interrupted. But we just have a problem with the inappropriate conduct. Should we go ahead and destroy such a personality only because he has conducted himself in a way that is not appropriate? No, we are more focused in going to that election, united and resolute. We have noted to our colleagues, members of parliament, that the party appreciated their concern, the widespread dismissing of such acts as far as the letter is concerned. But all of them, the party have taken a decision, are required to come to the table so that together we'll go and elect a member of parliament to represent the people of Ayawaso. You recall that in the last 8 years, Ayawaso is a central zongo of Accra, Nima Mamubi. The former government promised even establishing a Zongo University in the Zongo communities, never did. They promised Zongo Development Fund to develop the Zongos, never did. They promised to even build hospitals in the Zongo communities, never did. These are deficiencies of development that we have to live up to. We have a responsibility to develop Nima to standard. And we needed somebody who have experience, who have a pedigree in society to be able to influence this development. For us, that is where we are, and that is very important to us going into the future. It is not about what the NPP says. Just yesterday, you were recalling that they are in the business of even distributing state-funded fertilizers. Let's not talk about the money. State-funded fertilizers. I want to ask Mohammed, do they have fertilizer manufacturing plant in President Akufo-Addo's house at Nima? Where did the NPP get fertilizers such that their DCs were sharing for vote in national? To want to criticize a decision that we have taken to reform in line with the president's visions, they don't have the moral right. But they are not the yardstick. The yardstick is that We want to retain the trust Ghanaians have in us. We want to ensure that we address the political concerns that the people of Ghana have. As far as the NDC is concerned, we have always been used as a measure of reshaping democracy and upholding the standards. And we appreciate that. So for all who don't agree with us, for all who agree with us, we take full responsibility of everything that have happened in our party, and we can promise that going into the future, the NDC will not be in this crisis.
Do you think that the NDC missed a big chance to set a very good precedent by using Baba Jamal and the 4 other contestants as scapegoat? The NDC could have said that, look, we are no longer going to contest that seat because we found enough evidence to suggest that there was vote buying. So Baba Jamal, step aside. We will not contest in these elections. Did you miss that opportunity to set a good precedent with this?
As I have said, if you pick the NPP candidate they have selected and you juxtapose that with Honorable Baba Jamal, why would any human being want to throw Baba Jamal away and go and take the NPP candidate? For what purpose? This is an individual who have served with an unquestionable character, a good standing in our society. Baba Jamal have no record of political corruption. The fact that something would have occasioned in that election, which we found to be inappropriate, and condemning same, taking full step to restructure and reform our party, it's not a case that we have missed a chance. And
Right.
I've indicated, the committee noted that if we were having a lot of time, the story would have actually been different. But we are compelled under the circumstances to want to meet the timelines of the Electoral Commission. That is why we took this position to proceed with the election. And I can assure you that his pedigree, he is not somebody who have been in this business and noted for same. This is the first time Baba Jamal will be spoken about as far as these issues are concerned. So we should not dwell on this to destroy a fine character who is going to represent his people to champion development. The NDC would disassociate itself from that, and we dismiss that suggestion at all.
Mustafa, and there are those who are also saying that this decision that the NDC took was, so to speak, an endorsement of vote buying. They endorsed someone who openly bought votes and openly admitted to vote buying. Did the NDC endorse vote buying by endorsing Baba Jamal as the candidate to represent the party in the Ayawaso East By-election?
If you read our laws well, the issue of vote buying has only been mentioned only in the People's Representation Act, not even in our criminal code was it mentioned, let alone to talk of a political party having the right to define what constitutes vote buying and what doesn't constitute vote buying. We are only clothed with the capacity to define its appropriateness in line with our code of conduct. And so it is not even in the mouth of any political party to determine what is vote buying and what is not vote buying. It's subject to more superior structures of law who can determine that. And so anybody who thinks that the NDC is running away from such issue is misleading the public. We have done what we have to do as leadership, and prosperity would judge us for good. If you look at other political parties comparatively, this is the first time a political party have come out publicly to condemn this. Just 2 weeks ago, when it happened in the NPP, they didn't have what it takes to differentiate between proprietary and improprietary. That is why they've not talked. That is why they are quiet. That is why they endorsed it. And then we have come to talk about it, and they are saying we should not.
Right, Mustafa Gbande, thank you very much. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the governing National Democratic Congress there. And earlier we also spoke to the Deputy General Secretary of the opposition NPP, Haruna Mohammed, who we're still trying to get back onto the telephone lines because his line dropped abruptly. Do we have Haruna back on the line? All right, Haruna, good to have you back on the line. We lost you momentarily. There's been a lot of defense that your opponent has mounted with the decision that the NDC took They're saying that at least they took a firm stance. Now they've introduced some new punitive measures and have promised that this will never occur again. Is that not enough?
I don't know. There is no any punitive measure in their report. What they clearly did was that they identified vote buying. They publicly told the whole country that their party was involved in vote buying. They set up a committee to investigate and confirm the vote buying. Then after the committee has investigated and confirmed the vote buying, they actually endorsed the vote buying in the face of the people of Ghana, that yes, their people are actually engaged in vote buying. If you listen to me, my conversations on Joy on this particular matter, I consistently say so, that matters of vote buying are criminal matters. The only thing that the NPP does is to come out and condemn, but ask the security agencies to continue and do their investigations. When he was asked together with me that their investigation, how is it going to relate to the criminal investigation by OSP, he said they don't have anything to do with them. Their investigation is what is going to guide them. And lo and behold, their investigation rather came out to endorse vote buying. So I have always said it that the NDC doesn't have the locus and the NDC doesn't have the principle to be able to deal with matters. And this is what has confirmed. If they had not even done the committee, it was even better. And if they had not even come out with a committee to investigate.
And does the NPP have that locus to deal with that canker? Haruna Mohammed, are you still with me?
Yes.
Yes, you say that you say that the NDC doesn't have the locus to deal with the issue of vote buying, and I'm trying to find out from you if the NPP has the same. And I'm asking you this question on the basis that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has also cited the NPP, particularly with respect to your presidential primaries that took place a fortnight ago, that they are investigating allegations of vote buying. At least the NDC has set up a committee.
What the Special Prosecutor investigates?
And wouldn't your party do an independent investigation? Is that not an endorsement of vote buying, as you accuse the NDC of?
If they investigate and has been done, then they can take a criminal proceedings. But our view is that party made the whole country to look like they are saints and they are doing something different. But rather, they have come out to even expose their political party. So when it comes to
Hello, Haruna.
NDC, we are far advanced than the S that these matters are criminal matters. They thought it was an internal matter, and they were dealing.
Oh dear, I'm struggling to get Haruna Mohammed on the line. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the opposition New Patriotic Party there, sharing his thoughts on the vote buying incident that happened during the NDC's primaries to elect a candidate to represent the party in the Ayawaso East By-election, which comes up just next month there. We're trying to get him back on the line. But earlier, we also heard from Mustafa Gbande, who is the NDC's Deputy General Secretary. He's been defending the decision by his party to clear Baba Jamal to contest again. He says that this is never going to happen again and that the party has introduced punitive measures to curb the issue of vote buying should it ever happen again. I asked him whether this does not set a bad precedent for others who have engaged in vote buying or will decide to engage in vote buying in future elections. He says, no, that is never going to set a bad precedent. We're still working the telephone lines to get him on the line to answer a few questions for us. Haruna, I'm told you're back on the line. Grateful that you're back on the line. You were making a very important point when we lost you briefly.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the network has been very unfair to me today, but I appreciate your producers' effort to get me back on the online. I am saying that, yes, the NDC took a step. Everybody applauded them. on this same station, I told the whole country, the entire world, that the NDC are engaged in populism. And lo and behold, it has actually confirmed that what I said is what really happened to the NDC. What they did is that they came out, recognized that actual vote buying within the NDC set up a committee. The committee investigated and affirmed that there's actual vote buying, and they reported back to the whole world that the NDC is engaged in vote buying. However, they are unable to deal with their matter. And I'm saying that there is a vast difference between the NPP and the NDC.
Right.
And this is the difference. The difference is that what we see today, it will take the NDC 10, 20 years before they will realize it. On this same show, I told my colleague that this matter is a criminal matter. And the criminal organizations are organizations of state who are to deal with criminal matters, seize the power to do so. But they told us that no, they have the power and they will go ahead. Today, he's talking about laws that are supposed to deal with that, which we have said so previously. So we as a political party, we don't endorse vote buying. If the OSP says that he wants to investigate a matter, we are not in any investigation. He can go ahead and do the investigation. But it is established that the NDC as a political party, they don't have the capacity. They cannot be trusted. We cannot hold their words. We cannot entrust anything to them. And they cannot be justified in anything they do. They were clearly playing on the emotions of the people of Ghana. They were doing propaganda, and they were whitewashing the people's mind so that people would think that they are a better party. No, the NDC is not a party that is going to be trusted.
Right.
Because nothing has come out from it. I heard him talking about Baba Jamal. He's praising him. He's saying and says that nobody will choose a candidate over him. Look, Baba Jamal is not a special being. He's just a human being just as Baba Ali. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling this gentleman, my colleague, that Baba Jamal not also stand the powers and credibility of Baba Ali. This is a Baba Jamal who told us when he was Deputy Information Minister that when NDC slaughter a sheep, you should say it is a cow. If it is white, you should say it is black. Baba Ali has never said so. He has never played a deceptive role in his whole entire public service life. And I'm telling you that we are going into that particular competition. But the NDC should be very careful of times that they go in and hang themselves. They've just hung themselves. And all the people who have praised them during the period that they have issued the statement regretted for praising the NDC. And I think that it is about time that people should recognize them. You cannot approbate and reprobate. And this is a party that cannot be trusted.
Right.
Because we all know their root. And the NDC doesn't mean well for the people of Ghana.
Right. Haruna, don't go yet. I'll come back to you. But in the meantime, they might not...